All right, welcome back everybody. We are going to do some air layering today. And so we're going to try it a few different ways, actually a couple different ways, using different materials. So follow along, we're just going to kind of show you what to do, and we'll experiment and we'll kind of show you guys along the way too how well these processes work. So we got a few things here. So we have peat moss that we're going to use as a medium for air layering, and then we've got some root tone stuff, and then we got a couple bags that are prepared instead of using peat moss. So there's different things you can use. You could use a couple butter tubs. We'll cut these out, so you basically cut a hole on each side so the branch can go through, and then you fill this in with a medium.
This is actually the cleaner way to do it. The neater way.
It's nice because you just fill it up and then clip the lid back on, and then
soak it up.
All right, so we're adding water to the peat moss.
And one thing to remember whenever you're doing air layerings is you're going to win with numbers. The more air layerings you do, the better your success rate.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut. Let's see if I can do this without cutting my hand. I'm just going to cut a hole. Not too big, so really you want to cut the holes depending on the size of the branch that you're going to air layer. And then in order for us to fit it, we have to cut it all the way down the side. And then you're pretty much set up.
Yeah, you're definitely. There you go.
Okay, so before we start, we have to select the branch that we need or we want to air layer. This is a guava. I want to say it's a Mexican guava. So we have to strip down a few of the branches so we have room to air layer. So we're going to cut off a few. We're going to cut off this one and then probably these two because we're going to air layer this section. And we have to be able to fit the whole entire tub of butter.
Yep, so we'll go ahead now. Something to remember whenever you're doing this. Don't cut it out here. You got to cut it up close like that. Make sure it's a clean cut so the bark can heal over, because the cut never heals. The bark just puts a band-aid over it. So, a little fun fact for you guys. Now, pull these ones just to be safe. Now
You could probably explain this better.
Well, you have two roads. The way to look at it: phloem and xylem. Phloem goes up the tree to produce the green. Xylem goes down the tree to produce the roots. It's like two highways. What you're doing is, whenever you peel this, you're tricking the tree into thinking it's time to do some rooting. So that's what it does. It starts shooting roots. Then once those roots are established, you can cut it and go on. But it's always good to do a lower branch, usually. And it's always good to get it close to here, because if this is where your root is, you got room to snip it off.
Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our tub and kind of see where it's going to stop. And so ultimately we're going to go right in the very center here, and about an inch in length, maybe even a little bit longer, 1.5 inches, and then we're going to cut the bark off. Just a little bit deeper.
And whenever you do this, make sure your tools are clean. Clean your tools with rubbing alcohol. That way you don't promote, I'm gonna break the other plants. That way you don't promote disease between your plants, which is very highly unlikely of happening while doing this procedure. Now that should come out.
Yeah, so now you can kind of scrape down, because you want to take the entire layer of bark off.
And the thing is, whenever you do this also, it's okay to rough it up.
Yep. And we'll actually do that with a pocket knife at the end, just to make sure it's all.
So yeah, go ahead don't want that bark trying to regrow, because it'll shoot a branch. And see how I roughed that up?
Yeah.
You need that rooting hormone to get down in there, so it's okay to rough it up even if you took a pair of pliers and went around it a couple times.
The stuff that we're using, you can normally dilute it. What I've done is actually shake it up really good. Just put a few drops in the lid, and then we're coating up here.
Down there too.
And get it all the way down.
Get it all the way. All right.
So see if you can slide that in there.
Boom, like a glove. Now, we're gonna pack this stuff in here, so we'll be good. If you can use rubber bands, use rubber bands.
Yep, and
Make
again,
your life easier.
make it nice and moist so it does not dry out, because it needs a lot of moisture in order for it to root. All right, so we're gonna add a little more on top here without letting it drop. Just enough to put that lid on and seal it good. Okay.
Set that lid on there. Now we're gonna do rubber bands because that'll be our easiest. Is about the corner.
Make sure it's all attached.
Then we'll hold this. There. Voila.
And that's it.
That's it.
And how long do we need to wait before we check this?
Well, I check it every month because you'll know whenever you pull it off, you'll see the. That's why I like using bags so I can physically see it. But sweet. Hey guys, welcome to Blooms and Bees. This is going to be our second air layering, and we're going to air layer this turkey pig. Pretty simple. It's going to be a pretty quick video. I'll try not to go too fast because I'm always doing this sort of thing. So figs, the big thing with figs is you see where each one of these nodules are. Where each one of these nodules is going to be a branch. Well, that's also where your roots are going to come in too whenever you trick it into thinking it needs to root. So there's also rings that you can use as a guideline too. Every one of those rings is where a branch would come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score around this. Yep, like that. I'm probably going to go a couple inches. Score right around this one, like so. And then I'm going to score down the center. Hopefully I can do this before it starts pouring on us. Lovely Florida weather. Alright. Alright, now this should peel off nicely. Same thing as the last tree we did. We're going to rough up this cambium. Now in the last one we used a gel rooting hormone. This time we're going to be using some take root. You can get this at any hardware store, and you should probably apply it with a brush. That would be the better note, but I will wash my hands. But I want to make sure this gets into this cambium right here and make sure that it's going to be in there. Now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bag that I pre-made. This is just some compost, and I'm going to see exactly where I want it. Make sure I get it fully covered though.
Yep.
But I cut a little hole in this just like that. You ain't got to be fancy with it. And then I'll put this right in there, and voila. Now this is the tricky part. If you want to hold that, this is where another pair of hands comes in mighty handy, because now I'm going to use my rubber bands again. I love rubber bands for this exact reason. It'll hold it. I got some electrical tape and I got buddy tape. I'm going to use both. And we're going to need some type of moisture. Some just flew in my ear. So I will be putting little holes in here so moisture can pass through. I don't want to get too wet, but I also don't want it drying out. It's very important. So do a couple of those. oxygen will be able to get in there and all that good stuff. So there it is. Voila, you can put some aluminum foil around that if you wanted to make sure that light stays out. But like Mark said, you'll be able to see your roots very shortly. You can already see the condensation, which means it's warm. That'll also trigger the rooting process. I'm going to go ahead and take the buddy tape real quick and do a couple passes with it.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you don't mind, comment down, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, any questions you guys may have about air layering, we could hopefully answer for you. And for those that are experienced air layers, comment, and maybe that you guys have great tips and tricks for us to adopt. So it's just about sharing that knowledge. Till next time, see you guys.